So here the shir should be in honor of Leah Basara, that should only be continued to protect Leah Basara from any mishaps. Also, okay, should be a refuah shlema for all of the sick people in the community. Okay, Yal Bat Sharon and Chani. Anybody knows Chana's name? Chani Dina Matel Bat Sivya Yehudis should have a refuah shlema. Okay, we're entering into the study of Kabbalah. This is a wondrous study. Okay, it requires your brains. This is not a feed me Seymour. Okay, and should we stop? Because if you're in the middle of a baseball game.
No,
okay.
I'm just turning this off. I was just.
No. Okay, so it was taught to me after I was studying this for some time that when you study this material, okay, it is so powerful in terms of the food for our souls, we really have no idea. And because many times it was told to me from different places, like one story I remember when I was in one particular Kabbalah kollel in Israel, that the person stood up and he says, you know, there was a story of a man who was up in his years, you know, very old and couldn't learn anymore, couldn't study anymore. A religious man, studied all his life. And only towards the end of his life, so the only thing he could do was go to a study house and listen to people studying. That was how, you know, old and of years he was. And so the place that he happened to go to, that he was able to go to, was this place where they would study mysticism. And they studied mysticism, you know, and he subsequently died, you know, not too long after that. And he came to one of his relatives in a dream, and he said this, and he says, you know, all my years I studied Talmud, and I studied Mishnah, and I studied Halacha, and I studied all kinds of manners of Torah, the verses and Bible and everything like that. And it was unbelievable in terms of what the benefits it reaps the soul in the next world. But those few days that I studied the mysticism made all of that stuff like a shmek tabak. That means a small pinch of snuff. Okay? And it was told to me in another place that 1 hour of this study, this is kind of astounding, and you know, 1 hour, I don't know whether to tell you, don't let it leave the room. It's going to leave the room eventually, okay? 1 hour of this study equals 30 days of studying Talmud, okay? In other words, if you were to study Talmud all day long for a month, 1 hour of this is equal to that. And some people even said 1 whole year of Talmud study. In other words, the qualitative difference of this study gets you into reality much faster, okay? My father-in-law, Alav Shalom, looked at it like, can I borrow this just for a second? A cup. Let's say this cup. And inside this cup is our complete view of reality. We'd love to just see God and know exactly every single thing that's going on in all of existence. And anytime anybody comes to us with a question, we can answer it quite simply. We'd love it. We'd love a grasp on reality. So there's two ways to get to the inside of the cup. Either you burn through the side, which most people who are studying the external parts of Torah are attempting that, and few can make it. People can make it. In other words, you can burn through the cup. Let's look at we're outside, and inside is the real grasping of reality. You can burn through the cup and get inside the cup. That's one way. Or you can go up here and go inside. Okay? So my father-in-law says all those people who are studying from the external parts and they're trying to get grasp on what's going on, that's those people. But the people who study mysticism, right inside, okay? So that's why it's so unbelievably packed, this study, and one little bit goes a long way, okay? Yes?
So does it a lot have to do with the roots or whatever from where you come?
We'll get to that. You're already like, you must have read ahead, okay? You're good. You're always like a step ahead, aren't you, Anthony?
I don't know.
We'll get to it. It's very good, what you're asking, and hopefully hold that question, okay? All right, with that, we're going to start on page 3. We touched on a little thing that was really a huge thing. And once again, in terms of the study of Kabbalah, you have to be familiar with the terminology. Eventually, don't worry, you'll get it eventually because we're going to be repeating it so many times, because that's one way to learn something. Repetition, 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 repetition. And the other way is shock. Okay? So, yes, shock is a great way to learn, right? It was this one Rav who, he knew everything. And they go to him and they go, how do you know everything? He says, do you remember your wedding day? Do you remember your wedding day? Do you remember, that occasion and all the bouquet and the flowers and the smells and all the details? Yes, you do, even though it was years ago, because it was very impactful, right? He says, every time I open a page of Gemara, it's like the wedding day. Every single thing has total significance, and he doesn't forget a thing. Okay, we'll get to there. Okay, it's a level, right? Every single one of your experiences is unbelievable. So once again, we have to become familiar with the terminologies. Okay, and we started off last week with a little tip of the iceberg that we'll review. That is, when God said, "Let us make man in our image." Who was he talking to when he said, "Let us"? Well, there are different opinions. We learned, right? Raj, the angels. Ramban says the earth, right? And the Ari and other early commentators, Zohar, he brings down that God was talking to all the different dimensions. That's right, folks. There are external dimensions beyond this dimension that we are experiencing right now. This space-time event that we are in, there are other levels, okay? Those people who have the out-of-body experiences will tell you there are souls, there are worlds of souls that exist, okay? Some are nice and some are not so nice. There are other dimensions. God made these dimensions, okay, in order to make a filtration system for his infinite light. Because his infinite light needs to be diffused in order to create a space for free will, okay? So it had to be diffused in degradations. And those degradations we call the worlds or the dimensions. And those are the worlds here that we have on this little column that you have on page 3. On the far left, Atzilut, Bariya, Yetzira, and Asiya. And the translations are right next to it. Atzilut is emanation. Bariya is creation. Yetzira is formation. And Asiya is action. Okay? Asiya, action, of course, is the lowest world where we are in or part of. And that includes every single thing in all of the universes in the cosmos, as big as they are and as infinite as they seem to us. That's all the world of Asiya. There are worlds way beyond. We have no idea what we are in right now, okay? Out this field of infinity that it's congealed and we're able to exist and have the experiences that we have not figured it out, okay? Even the quantum physics, right? Even in quantum physics, they can't figure it out. Okay? So in any case, the idea is when God said, "Let us make man," he was talking to these 4 dimensions and all of the entities that existed in these 4 dimensions. He says, we're going to make man, meaning you got to contribute from your heart to make man. Everybody's got to contribute to make this creation called man. Adam. Okay? So when he did that, actually what happened is that within us and within our soul is all of those squished in little bitty itty living space, okay? So it's all, but it's all accessed within us, okay? All of those dimensions are within us. Every single thing is within us. It is a huge idea, and we left off this line here just after you see that chart on page 3, right here, right? If I show you right here. We left off with a person's situation in this world derives from the state of his soul. That's a big statement. What does it mean by state of his soul, Rabbi? Okay, as we're going to discover. Where do we come from? Right? Where do we come from? And I tell everybody in basic terms, your body might come from Iowa, or Los Angeles, or Rancho Cucamonga. There is such a place. Okay? Camarillo or Pasadena, Glendale for sure. Your body might come from those, but your soul, where does your soul come from? In general, we do say that the soul of everybody comes from we call it the throne of glory. It's a world of Bria, creation. Number 3, from below to above. Number 3, okay? We come from the world of Bria, the world of creation, which has another name to it called the throne of glory. Okay? That is where the souls of all of the Jewish people are hewn from, like a quarry, like a stone that is chipped from a quarry. Okay? So now you don't need to say anymore where people ask you where you come from. You don't say anymore Pasadena, LA. You say, I come from the throne of glory. We got TOG shirts that we're handing out after the class. Okay, I got a whole truckload. TOG, throne of glory. Okay? But now more specifically, where do you come from? Throne of glory.
And they put you in jail.
And you? No, they call the white man.
That's right. Nice young men in their white suits.
You know, okay, it's time to go. But there's more specifically where we come from. There's a more specific idea of locale where we come from in terms of the throne of glory. When God made and breathed into man that breath of life, that neshama, right? All of our souls come from that one neshama, that one soul, that one breath that God breathed into his nostrils. So we look at it as like this, and it helps us more to understand it that if you look at the form of a human, a head, shoulders, arms, torso, and legs. We'll look at a soul. If I could cut a soul like that, which you can't, but we're going to do that just to borrow terminology to help us. And so if you look at a form, you could look at like a silhouette kind of thing or a spiritual glowing light of a soul in that form. Head, arms, body, legs. All our souls come from one of those places in the body. Okay? In other words, if you have this body soul, and you know that in this there are 613 limbs, really 248 limbs, and 365 negative sinews, 365 sinews, make up this body. So some of us might come from the left arm, some of us might come from the right arm, some of us come from the head, some of us the body, some from the legs, right? And some from toenail dirt, okay? You know, once a guy said to me, "You're toenail dirt compared to me," right? It was a nice thing. Thank you. That was great. Good musser, right, me? You don't come up to toenail dirt in terms of my learning, right? Could you imagine someone said that to me? You know, I was young and innocent, and it was okay. I was okay. I'm still okay with it. Okay, I'm even better now than I was then. Okay, so in any case, the idea really is in some port of this figure, all of our souls come from, is rooted in that. Whether it be the left finger, right finger, what finger, nose, eyes, ears, R's. You can go down the list of 248 possibilities, 365 possibilities, making a total of 613. So a person's situation in this world derives from the state of his soul, which means the place where his soul comes from. In other words, each soul has a mission, which corresponds to the place where you come from, and that form of man. The right arm has a mission. It does certain things. The left arm does its things. The left leg, right leg, in the spiritual sense, has to fulfill a certain destiny, has to fulfill a certain function. Okay, now there's other souls that's also going to come from the same root as you, right? That's why there's certain people you connect to, and it's so amazing how you connect to these people, and you can talk to them like, I haven't talked to them in 3 years. You pick up the phone, it's like you spoke yesterday. It carries a conversation like, whoa. You know, those are like soul roots. They come from the same root, okay? So some people come from the same root. The bottom line is we are all connected, okay? So a person's situation in this world, meaning God put you in this world and he gives you the parents that he gave you, and the schooling and the environment, and he mamish orchestrated to perfection every single one of the pieces of schmutz that you'd get, your dirty laundry, your pekala, all of that craziness from your parents, okay? Bless them, God bless them. And the craziness of your upbringing, right? All of that to build into you that you have to fulfill a certain mission. And your mission is based on where your soul comes from, that root. Okay? So it derives from the state of your soul, where you come from. It's needed, every single thing, every single obstacle is perfectly made for you. All of the beliefs, the deep beliefs that you have, because some of them are untrue, and you think you live your life and you think they're true, and he's trying to shake you from it, and sometimes it takes time. But in any case, a person's situation in this world derives from the state of his soul, and his actions in this world rebound back onto the state of his soul. In other words, what can we do about it? We're not stuck. We can do things in this world that rectify that part of the soul, that fulfill it. We overcome obstacles, we fulfill mitzvahs, we avoid negative actions and bad habits, and therefore it also will affect the state of our soul, the actions that we do. Even the Rambam says so, just in an external way. You know, sometimes if you just, people get depressed or they're bothered inside. If you do actions externally, that'll affect your insides. Your actions externally affect your insides.
Fake it until you make it.
Thoughts affect, and even, let's say, if you can't manage to grasp or get hold rein of the thoughts, go dance with the Breslovs, you'll be right as rain after a half an hour. Okay?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
Right?
7:30.
7:45, I think they called it for. That really means 9 o'clock in Torah V'Chesed time. Okay, so...
Still want to get there early for the good.
Yes, you want to get a good seat and get your earphones and get your parking.
What we're talking about?
Yeah, park.
Oh, I'll just park at the Torch Center.
Okay, so in any case, that's going to be full, so you better arrive on time. Walmart. Okay, that's a nice walk here. We have to trans. Okay, so, let's go back. Consequently, he may blemish his soul, God forbid, or he may rectify it. Okay, so in other words, we're here to fix our soul, or fix a blemish. That's what we're going to get to. And the big question that we're going to answer today and get to is, why does the soul have to reincarnate? Okay, what are the reasons why a soul has to come back? We're all assuming an idea here is that yes, the Torah believes in reincarnation. However, I must put this forward. Okay? Not every rabbi, big rabbi, in our past, in our tradition, believed in reincarnation, that it's Jewish. The biggest is Rav Sadia Gaon, who lived in the Gaonic period in Babylon. Before the Rishonim, let's say predating well over 1,000 years. He wrote that the idea, the concept that the Jewish people of reincarnation was an adopted concept from another culture. Shocking. Absolutely. And yet there's the Arizal, there's the Zohar, explicit texts which talk about reincarnation. How do you reconcile these two? So there's different answers that I heard. Okay, so I don't like them. I put them on the shelf because I'm going to say bottom line, I really don't know. Okay? But I'm going to say is, I'm going to side with the brothers who hold by reincarnation. Okay? Because they're big guys. Not that Sadia Gaon is not big. He's huge. And he's got also a team of rabbis on his side who also say it is an adopted concept from other cultures. You just have to know that.
But
So
he's not against it. He just says that this is where it came in.
No, it's almost as if he against it because we're into Torah. We're into what we got from Sinai. We didn't get this from Sinai, so it's out.
He's saying it's for another.
It's out. Okay? It's not Jewish. We're into Jewish. We're into Sinai. We're into the message from Sinai. We're into the tradition from our forefathers. This is not it. It was sucked into this infected our way of life. Okay? So, he didn't say those words. And I'm going to bring you the answer which will help. And what we're going to learn today is going to help. Okay? So the first two, I'm going to call them the Walmart answers. Okay? Generic or whatever he says. One, Rav Sadia Gaon did not have the text of the Zohar at the time. It was hidden, the text of the Zohar, for a long period of time. Don't forget, it was not printed, the Zohar, until the 1200s by Moshe de Leon. and it is an argument who wrote the Zohar. There are scholars who say the Zohar, the Holy Zohar, the esoteric commentary of the Bible, was written by Moshe de Leon. And they have big rabbis, right, who, the Yavitz, who claims yes. Big rabbis who says, yes, it comes from Moshe de Leon. They interviewed his wife, and his wife says, yeah, he said we needed to make money, so he's going to write this book, and we're going to make money, right?
That's a lot of writing.
Right? It was a lot of writing. Hey, they had time, okay? They didn't have interphone, they didn't have internet, and they didn't have cell phones, okay? They were really good. So, okay, so of course, the Arizal definitely holds that it came from Shimon Bar Yochai, who was the Talmudic sage. Okay, so people say that there was a period of time of like, why now is the Zohar coming out in 1200 when it was written 1,000 years before? Not 1,000, but several hundred years before. Okay, 600 years before. Okay, right? Where was it?
You could say that about the Torah. It was written about when the world was created.
Yes.
We received it.
Okay, we received it in that tradition where it was written down in the written law. And the written law, we did receive it later, but in the meantime, it was a traditional law. It's true. And then there's other questions about that. That's true. Listen, there are arguments back and forth. I'm just giving you the information, okay? Just so that you say, I didn't hear that from my rabbi, okay? So, don't complain to me. You didn't tell us that not everybody held that, reincarnation is not, okay? So, so you heard it from me. There are. So that the first answer is that Rav Sadia Gaon, right, who didn't hold from reincarnation in general, right, didn't have a copy of the Zohar. He didn't get it because it was a hidden text. It was, for some reason he didn't have. Like I say, that's okay. The other idea is he had to say that we don't hold from reincarnation because he was in a culture, in the Islamic culture at the time, that doesn't hold reincarnation. If you come out with it, they'll kill you. Okay? So therefore, to stop pogroms and stop dissension from the Jewish community and the Arab community who they were living by, in order to make the peace. So he said that. Like I say, I call those Walmart answers. Okay? Their answers, we don't know. I've heard a big rabbi say this. Okay? A big rabbi said this. Okay? But, okay? So the other answer was that I just read recently by Rabbi Trugman, who said that the language that Rav Sadia Gaon brings by reincarnation was ataka, which is an impression of complete uprooting, which means that basically it implies that the entire soul keeps reincarnating, okay? Like uprooting to another body in different lifetimes, okay? Which, if you read the language that the Ari explains what we call reincarnation, the Hebrew word is Gilgul. Gilgul means roll, like a wheel. A galgal is a wheel, okay? It's a rolling. It's not an uproot, it's a rolling. So what do we say by a rolling, as we're going to see, is that, you're here in this world and you're doing stuff. You're fixing stuff. God is not going to let you leave, hopefully, without fixing stuff. You got to be a real anti-fixer to be in here and do nothing, okay? He's going to throw things your way that you're going to have to overcome. And hopefully you will you'll make some achievements. That when our soul leaves our body, great, you did A, B, now we're just missing C and D. So not your whole soul needs to go back down to fix C and D. We're going to take the A and B that you did and put it in a place where it goes, right? It goes to its root source and gets to stay there. But the parts that didn't get fixed yet, they need to go back down. Okay, so the elements of the soul, not the entire soul moves over, but only elements of the soul that did not fix itself move over. Okay? You look puzzled? You good? Everybody good?
It's like the ruach of a nefesh would have a gilgul.
Okay, now you're already like moved. You read ahead. So let's go. You're right. We'll explain it. Okay. So here with that, now we're going to go into section 2. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Let's just feel this one last thing. This last paragraph just before it. Since his actions take place in this world, they can also harm or benefit the world as well as his soul. This is huge. This is very big. Okay? He is connected by virtue of the resonance of his soul to multifarious levels of existence folded up upon the other. In other words, everything's folded up inside within you. All of the universes, all of the dimensions are folded up within you. Because his soul spans all these levels of existence, he can affect them as well, depending upon the level of soul that he is starting out from. This is so big that I happened to be picking up, I give a class on Shabbat in Beit Rambam, and we're doing some wisdom of Rabbi Nachman. And he brings one of the greatest things that Rabbi Nachman says as he's having a conversation with his student. And he says, he hinted to the rabbi, to Rav Nosson, his student, he says, it's something about, the people in Israel, they were lacking in emunah, and that's why the work became hard when they were in Egypt. They were lacking in emunah. And the Rabbi Nosson is saying, why is he talking about a lacking in emunah? Is he implying that I don't have emunah? And I'm thinking, I'm pretty sure I'm pretty good in my emunah, right? And then Rabbi Nachman pounded and he shouted at him a little bit. And he shouted at him these words. He says, He says, V'im yesh lecha emuna, if you have emuna, ein lecha emuna be'atzmecha. You don't have any belief in yourself. A big, huge area of emuna, as a matter of fact, one of the biggest, is faith, believing in yourself. A person must believe in themselves. This is so big. So big. So what does that mean to believe in yourself, Rabbi? Okay? So to believe in yourself means that basically what you do has great significance in God's eyes. Before Avram Avinu's time, even though there were some people believed in a God and multi-gods and a lot of gods, and then they might have believed even in one God, and they did in Enoch's time. They believed in the one universal life force. But they believed, okay, he made the world, he made the universe, but he doesn't really he's not really involved. He doesn't really care about what we do. We're minuscule little elements down here. And Avram Avinu stood against them all and saying, no, he cares very much about the things that we do. And we have great significance in terms of our actions, our thoughts, our words have great significance. And we know that actually from science today in terms of the butterfly effect. The butterfly effect, as we know, that is brought down, that this little butterfly, they were doing seismology, the people who were studying hurricanes and weather, they said if the flapping of that butterfly was missing in the equation, it would create tremendous hurricanes and tornadoes in other parts of the world. In other words, this little, almost insignificant little wind that the butterfly creates in Honolulu has a tremendous effect in New York. It's an unbelievable effect. Yeah, but that's a different one, I thought, with time. That had to do with the time element, but they even found out in terms of just the weather element, okay, that what the air that is being shut around is mamish putting things into such synchronization you cannot possibly fathom how much things are being shifted and moved. It's in a great detail. We cannot fathom it. But I'm thinking that when I think that we are in, actually our atmosphere is in 14.5 pounds of pressure. Okay, like the people who do the deep sea diving, right? The more pressure, the more deeper you go, and you get the bends and all the kinds of influences with your body and the chemistry in your body, right? And also, if you climb high, right? We are in the atmosphere of 14.5 pounds of pressure. So that means when you wave your hand, don't think that there's nothing going on. Okay, that's in a physical realm. I'm telling you, the spiritual realm is way more than that.
It also connects to the study about water. Japanese got it.
Yeah.
That was okay. Well, I know that the molecules and the blessings and the thoughts, and it's I think that was disproven. I have to, somebody disproved that. Somebody told me that was disproven. Okay, we'll leave it up for the fact check. We'll put that with Hillary in the fact check.
I'm going to have my thinking. I think it's, based on what you're saying, positive thinking is very important.
We know that. I'm writing a whole book on that.
Really?
Okay.
Right.
Oh yeah. I'm writing a whole book on it. It's not a whole book. Hopefully it'll be 100 pages that Elena there can probably chump up in about 10 minutes. Okay?
Hey, a lot of practice.
Okay.
The nursing texts are like...
Okay, so the idea Rabbi Nachman was telling his student, you got to believe in yourself, buddy. And what does that mean to believe in yourself? You have significance. Your actions are very, very significant in the spiritual realms. Very significant. That's so much so that here, okay, the student of the Baal Shem Tov, the Toldos Yaakov Yofo, brings down. People sometimes, they get their humility off whack. Humility off whack. Too low. Off balance. People really don't know what humility is. But people sometimes, they're out of balance. Humility causes that they become distanced from serving God. Right? Because of their so lowliness, they don't believe that a man causes, by way of his prayers and his Torah, shefa, I have to say the Hebrew word, shefa, which means abundant blessing, comes to all of the worlds. All of the worlds. And also the angels are sustained through the man's Torah and his tefillah. You know, Rabbi Nachman brings down in the second section of Likutei Moharan, the very first Torah, the Israelite was created to have dominion over the angels. And that is the goal of the Jew. That's right. Your goal in life is to become the CEO, okay, of the universe. That means you tell the angels what to do. Unbelievable. What are you talking about? But the idea is, let's just take a step back, because that's a whole nother Torah, okay?
So can you talk to angels directly?
Absolutely. You know, there was a great story. Now, you have to live it, and you have to believe it. There was a great story. This woman was walking, this really recently. This happened like a year or 2 years ago. There was an intifada going around, and she was walking through the streets of Jerusalem, and she was followed by a guy, a 19-year-old, Muslim, was walking behind her, and she was terrified of him, and she kept saying these words.
From the
Michael to my right, Gabriel to left. Michael right, Gabriel left. Michael right, Gabriel left. They finally turned the corner, and someone alluded to, they captured the guy because he was chasing her. And they interviewed him, they interrogated him, right? What were you doing chasing her? Okay, so anyway, it's not that kind of interrogation. Sorry, I didn't do an Israeli accent. What were you doing chasing her? Right? Right, so that was more Nazi, sorry.
Come back.
Okay, fine. So the idea really was, they interviewed him. He says, Mamash was going to attack her. I was going to knife her. I was going to. But there was the two big guys following her the whole time. He saw two big guys. That's what he said.
God sent him back.
So she's going, Michael to my right, Gabriel to left. Michael right, Gabriel left. Michael are names of angels.
But didn't he end up killing someone else instead?
No, that guy got captured. And they interviewed him. Okay? So, but he saw it. And, and they told the lady. And they asked the lady, what were you doing? Okay? So, the idea really is this. That's what he's saying here. A person has to believe in himself that actually all of the universes are dependent upon you. You affect huge dimensions that you are not even aware of with your thoughts, with your words, and your actions. It's kind of scary, but like I say, you always use that magic word that I always say to take it out. And what's the magic word? Easy. The name of the angel that overcomes all obstacles. His name is Easy. In other words, didn't you know that?
Never heard that angel before.
Okay, you weren't in some earlier classes. You're right. Sorry, I give so many classes, I forget who I talk to. Of every thought that you think creates an angel.
How do you spell it?
E-A-S-Y. Easy.
Okay. I knew there was good.
What's his Hebrew name?
Noah. Okay? Or Kal. Really Kal.
Cal.
Okay? Kal. Cal.
Cal.
Cal. Where's my...
That's looking down for
Okay, so...
Cal or SoCal.
So the idea really here is, don't take it easy, that we are in charge of many worlds, and the angels are sustained by our deeds, right? Huge things. And we're going to explain a little bit more of how it works. But when I say that we come from the throne of glory, this high spot, just beneath the world of Atzilut, our souls come from, okay? Beneath us is the world of Yetzirah, the world of formation. That's the realm of the angels. Okay? We come from a higher place than the angels. That is our destiny. We're supposed to tell the angels what to do. I want you to mop this floor, wash this window, and then clean the cobwebs. Okay?
I don't think they're going to come with a great attitude if you ask them that.
Okay? So the idea really is, but depends where you're starting from. We do have we're bigger than we think. We're bigger than we think. Every single thing is connected within us. Okay? And when we do things, move our fingers, say words, they have powerful ramifications. And all of the worlds are holding us and looking at us for sustenance. Okay? It's a different reality that we have to wake up to. Okay? Now, Section 2, spiritual growth from level to level. Each level of soul comes from the world corresponding to it, as we have in the chart above. You can always go look back for the reference. As you see in the far right of that column, the column had the different aspects of souls, nefesh, ruach, neshama, chaya, and then finally yechida, which it didn't write here. But those, and we'll get to it. Nefesh, ruach, neshama, chaya correspond to those different realms, those different external realms, those external dimensions. Okay? So each level of soul comes from the world corresponding to it. He starts with nefesh, and little by little, according to merit, achieves new levels. But he cannot receive a new level until he has rectified what he has. Okay? And that's just the introduction to this paragraph. This paragraph is the writing of the Ari himself. So it says here, once he talked about these names, right? He does not acquire all of them, all 5 levels of soul at one time, but rather according to his worthiness. Okay? Worthiness, what does worthiness mean? So the word worthy is zoiche or zacha. Zacha, which means level of how he's purifying himself, a refinement. We're talking about a refinement here. Merit. They translate it loosely as merit, but if I look at the real literal translation of the word of zoche, zchut, he needs a zchut. He needs zachut, comes from zacha. Zacha means refined. Okay?
Justification.
Not justification. Well, justification is different. Justification, somebody has to justify it.
Like metal is justified in the furnace.
Okay, I like that. I never heard that term in terms of a metal. A smelting metal is for sure used in our analogy. Okay? But I never heard that word in the metal analogy of justification. It's interesting. It's a nice word. At first, he acquires the lowest of them all, which is called the nefesh. Everybody starts off with the nefesh. Level 1. You're lucky you get it. Thank God I have a nefesh. Okay? After that, if he so merits, he then also requires level 2, which is called ruach, or spirit, or wind. Okay? And this is explained in many places in the Zohar, such as Parshas Vayechi, Parshas Truma, and specifically at the beginning of Parshas Mishpatim, where it says here, quote unquote, come and see when a person is born, he's given a nefesh. Okay, the rest of the quote actually says, if he merits it, he merits his ruach at age 13. If he merits. Okay? The person, that's where bar mitzvah comes from. There's no verse in the Torah that says, when thou art 13, thou shalt make thy bar mitzvah, and thou shalt have thy pigs in thy blankets, right? And thou shalt have a all-you-can-eat smorgasbord with herring and crackers, okay? And thou shalt outdo the Joneses and the Smiths and the Goldsteins, okay? There is no...
Thou shalt choose a theme.
Choose a what?
Choose a theme.
And go to thy place which I shall show you, okay? Go to there is no mitzvah in the Torah for a bar mitzvah. Did you know that?
No.
Comes from Kabbalistic tradition.
I thought it came from when they revenged their
Yes,
sisters.
Shimon and Levi, when they took the city of Shechem, but it's just an illusion that they called Levi, who was 13 at the time, Shimon, who was 13, they called him a man. That doesn't say anything about a bar mitzvah. It does say that they imply there, but it's not a direct, right?
Also, Ishmael got circumcised at 13 as well.
Yeah.
Correct. But they don't call him a man. As a matter of fact, not at all. They don't call Ishmael a man at all. Okay? He's para Adam. He's wild man. Okay? He rebels against mankind. If you look in the Aramaic translation, Mored va'Adam. He's a Merida. He rebels against man.
Zohar is where it comes from.
Yes. So the real source is, why 13 do you become a man? Explain that. Good. 13 you become a man. Great. Why? Level of soul comes in. The level of soul, a higher level of soul potential to come in, or starts to come in, what we call mochin de gadlut, or what we call big brains come in. Maturity comes in. Not so for men. Maybe it's a little later. Okay? 12 for a woman. For sure women mature faster than men. Okay? But the idea really is, the esoteric concept of it is that the potential for the extra soul comes in at that age. Okay?
And women for 12.
12 for women. That it doesn't say in the Zohar. Okay?
So if you take Abraham, who was circumcised at 99 then, or 100, wasn't he? And then was that happened to him when he was 100 or when he was 13?
I'm talking about, what does circumcision have to do with? No, that's not bar mitzvah.
And he did it himself.
But 13 comes to circumcision of Ishmael.
That has nothing to do with what our discussion is. He mentioned it because he was a man, he was 13.
I was wrong.
We're trying to, he drew a number 13 from Ishmael, which does correspond. He was circumcised at 13. But we're talking about where the source root or the understanding, the deeper understanding of a bar mitzvah comes from. Okay? So,
I have one other quick question.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier that we're supposed to be the CEO of the angels.
yeah.
I thought the angels are like one-dimensional. They get their messages and direction from God, and we're not able to influence them. They have a mission that God gives them. They go to carry out that mission, and I don't know, that's the end of it.
Yeah, it's a good question that you're asking. Okay, so as much as those angels do listen to God and they do carry out God's mission, you have your own angels.
There are different categories of angels.
And still, even then, if once you are raised to the CEO, you are with God in the boardroom, involved in the decision making, and then you come out, and the angels go, "What did God say? What did God say? What did God say? Tell us what God said." Right? And they're going like, "What's the buzz? What's happening? What's happening?" And you have to say, "Well, God, we're going to do this and this and this." Right? And they go and do it. They have to listen to you. Because you're basically saying, you say what God said. Basically, you reflecting what the will of God is. Okay? So in other words, you become this kind of go-between now that they didn't have before. And they're not happy about it. At the beginning. So Rabbi Nachman does say in that Torah, when you do become the CEO, right? And, okay, and you are going to dictate to the angels what they're going to do. You're, of course, dictating what God tells you. Of course, you're dictating the will of God. You don't want to do anything less than the will of God, because the will of God is perfect.
I don't think you could do.
You can't do. You don't want. Anyways, the idea really is this: you have to be able to hold your position, because the angels are jealous of you. There are angels that they want to tear you down. You're like King of the Mountain, that famous little kids game where a little hill, and you want to stay king of the hill, and the other kids have to try to tear you down. That's exactly it. So the other way, in order to keep your position, there's only one way to keep your position. You have to hold on to the throne of glory. Just like when Moses went up to Mount Sinai. Moses went up to Mount Sinai. He saw these angels. They were playing cards, backgammon. Okay? And they're going like, "Earthman, what are you doing here? Go back down. Right? Here's your pacifier. Go back down, little baby. Here's a package of diapers for you." Right? And he's, no, I'm here to get the Torah. You are? I don't think so. Right?
We're gonna bargain with
And these guys all of a sudden, they got big guns. These guys are guns. You're a little kid with a pea shooter walks into a room of mafiosos with huge guns. Okay? They're going to mow them down. Okay? So what happens is, basically, Hashem then says, "Hold on to my throne and answer them," and then starts this debate in heaven. And Moshe wins the debate. What does it mean when he hold on to my throne of glory? What does that mean? Was it a chair in heaven? No. What does it mean? Is hold on to the root souls of Israel. That's what it means by holding on to the throne of glory, which means you now are totally invested in all of the souls of Israel. You take responsibility for every soul of Israel. You are totally connected to every soul of Israel. And with that, you are able to maintain your position as CEO. And they can't knock you down. Okay?
Another quick question.
Yeah.
So we try to mimic being angels all the time, like during the Simon Abba.
Yeah. Right? We're trying to get there. Don't forget, listen, man. You're starting off as the mail boy in the basement of this corporation. You understand? Nefesh, you're starting off with nefesh. Everybody starts off with nefesh. You're the male boy in the basement. The angels are on, like, say, floor 2 to
So
52.
during our spiritual growth, we're mimicking and trying to.
We're trying to just to get a glimpse and get an access and get some kind of, like, inkling for some kind of spirituality. We're clawing for a hair of spirituality. Okay?
But I kind of like having free will.
Okay, yeah, we're going to miss it.
we don't
We're going to miss
get
it.
the
Yes,
free
we
will.
are. We're going to miss it.
Nothing precedes us.
We don't, but you have to understand the part of your... Okay, well, let's get... Come on, guys, let's go for it. Although a person starts off life with only a nefesh, he has the potential to ascend to higher and higher levels according to his merit. Okay? Now, the last line, paragraph on page 3. All nefashot are from the world of Asiya. Only. All ruchot are from the world of Yetzirah. That's the higher realm. And all neshamot are from the world of Bria. However, the majority of people do not have all 5 parts, which are called Narnechi. We said that was the abbreviation of the 5 levels of soul. Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Chaya, and Yechida. But only the Nefesh from Asiya, everybody's going to start off on square 0. Okay? So we have seen in the end of the previous section that the abbreviation for all the 5 levels of soul is Narnechi. There is, however, a shorter abbreviation of Naran, Nefesh, Ruach, and Neshama. That's a shorter one. You have to understand that abbreviation. We won't use it so much, but don't worry, I'll remind you when we ever use it. This reflects the fact that we are almost entirely involved with the levels of Nefesh, Ruach, and Neshama. That really is mainly our concern. We're not worried necessarily with the other levels of soul, which are Chaya and Yechida, not a direct focus. Okay? And in the discourse of levels of Chaya and Yechida are ignored, and they are. So in other words, we're really going to focus on our Nefesh, our Ruach, and our Neshama, which I'll explain what they are and how they express themselves. Moreover, in real life, in this world, most people only have the level of Nefesh. Okay? The idea really of nefesh, we talk about it when we say that the realm of nefesh has to do mostly with actions. That is the action part of our soul. The ruach part of our soul, level 2, mostly has to do with the realm of speech. Our speaking affects the ruach part of ourselves, and our thinking affects the neshama part of ourselves. Okay, the other realms that I did see here in the Perush of Metoch Midvash. The other realms, which are Chaya and Yechida, life force and uniqueness, have to do with Kavana, intention. That's Chaya. A lot of people, it really hits me a lot of times. A lot of people don't even know what their intention is. I mean, everybody intends for good. We say the road to hell was paved with good intentions. The question is really, what is your intention? Is it clear? Is there self-motivation, or is it really you want to fix the world? And really, there's only 2 paths. And usually, most people, it's a blend of the 2. But really, we have to try to aspire to where we're doing all of our actions are for the sake of heaven. We only want to fix the world. We only want that God's complete expression of His infiniteness express itself in this world. And our egos are in the way. And that's what we have to work to getting out of the way. Okay? So the kavana, and the final one, which corresponds to yechida, is ru'usa deliba, desire of the heart. That's how I would translate it. The will of the heart, which is a deeper will, which is there's nothing more than the yechida wants, and we can connect to it certain times. It's just a connection to God. Ru'uta deliba, which means the will of the heart, which means like the desire of the heart, the deepest part. Okay? In any case, we're just going to be worried on our actions, our words, and our thoughts. Okay, so now let's say most people are from the nefesh of Asiya. We're going to get complicated here. We're going to now, in your jungle cruise, I want you to make sure that you drink enough water. Make sure your backpacks are on tight. We're going to cross a narrow bridge. Okay? The bridge is really one of those rickety bridges. Some boards are missing. Hold on to the rope. We're going to try to go through as fast as possible. Don't to the right, don't to the left, and don't look down. Okay? I don't know if Guatemala?
Well, no, I was going to say, you said the narrow bridge,
Yeah. Don't be afraid. Okay?
That's what he said.
The one thing that we can enjoy about this thing, you can experience it. This is exposure to direct text here. Nobody does this. I don't even know if I'm allowed to do this. Okay? Right?
Yeah, bad things better not happen.
Okay? 1 hour is equal to 30 days. Okay? So I figure let's inject you with some strong stuff. If anything else, and you are not able to follow across the bridge, okay, just close your eyes, okay, and just repeat to yourself, I understand that there are things above my head, okay, and because if you just, it's fine, it's okay. There are things above my head. There are things above all of our heads. In other words, certain things you're just not going to get, okay. Okay. However, even this nefesh has many levels. And this is because Asiya, the world of Asiya, the lowest of the worlds, itself also divides into what we call 5 partsufim.
What does that word mean?
Okay. What is a partsuf? Okay. They have a bad word that they use in Hebrew, but I won't repeat it. Okay.
It says below face.
No, yeah, so the word partsuf, let me just finish this line here. So these partsufim are called arich anpin, abba, ima, zer anpin, nukva, and zer anpin. Here's your new vocab list. Want it memorized and back by tomorrow. There'll be a test next week. Okay? The word partsuf, plural for partsufim, literally means face. Okay? But in Kabbalah, it also refers to the entire human shape. If I look at this, and I do look at this all the time, this is the array of the 10 sefirot. We also say this is the form of man, the image of God. Here is we call this the head.
It's upside down.
Thank you. It's not.
I can't see it.
No,
Oh, is that the
not
Keter?
the feet.
Keter, Chachma, Bina, and Das is here, but it's invisible. You can't see it now. Is the head, our head, is in the image of God. This is also, if we take an x-ray of you, a spiritual x-ray, we would see this. Okay? This is the right arm, left arm. This is the torso, right leg. Am I right? No, sorry. Right leg, I'm looking at the camera. Right leg, left leg. This is the genitalia, and this is we call it the feet. Some people call it the feet, refer to it as the feet. Malchut, the lowest, or some people refer to it as the man's wife. Some people refer to it as the crown of the sexual organ. Sexual organ and crown of sexual organ. Okay? Sexual organs. Okay? Got it? So this would be be called, and this is called many names, but right now we're going to call this, when you collect all 10, you have a partsuf. If you're missing, you don't have a partsuf. You don't have a whole face. Okay? What we want to do is make sure you got to be in sync, in alignment, connect. You collect. This is like, when we were kids and they had 10 different bobbleheads in the cereal box. Right? Collect all 10. Right? So, you wanted Manny, Mo, Jack, you wanted Lo, Mo, Larry, Curly, Ichves, I don't know who, or whatever was on the team, you wanted all those bobbleheads. You had to buy tons of boxes of cereal.
And not even eat the cereal, just grab this.
Of course not. Your parents would get on your case.
Aren't there 10 more inside of each of them?
Yes, we'll get to that.
Jumping ahead, sorry.
Right?
Because we don't have enough words.
So now we're going to give you the names of these, okay? We're giving you the names, and these are really wild names, okay? In general, there are 10 sefirot. These are called the 10 sefirot, or 10 illuminations, 10 garments God wears, 10 guiding forces in the world, 10 guiding expressions in the world that Hashem expresses Himself in this world to us and to our daily experience. Every single thing, this is the spiritual genetic code of the universe. Every single thing breaks down into one of these. It's the ultimate root. Okay? This comes from the world of Atzilut, the highest of the 4 dimensions. We can't even grasp what is in that ultra-gated neighborhood, okay? But we can grasp what comes out of it. And what comes out of it is these 10 illuminations, 10 concepts, 10 insights that we have to grasp. When we have the 10 insights, we have a full partsuf. When we have grasped them, when we emulate them, when we connect with them. And they all have different character traits to them. All of them. Okay? So they are, Keter is number 1, and the light flows down from here, down, all the way down here. Keter, Chachma, Bina, Chesed, Gevura, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, and Malchut. And you could take a picture of this at the end of class and have it in your phone, or you can send me an email and I can send you a photocopy. However, each one is a localized version of the entire system. Okay? In other words, it's possible to discern with each and one of them 10 component sefirot, and within each one of those 10 others, etc. Okay? Here, in other words, what we're going to say is, okay, you see 10 circles here. That's great. Now, see this picture, this array here of how it's ordered. In each one of these is a whole 10. A whole nother 10. This is the map, folks. I'm giving you the map. Don't get freaked out. If you can understand a map, you can understand this. Okay?
So it's just like it.
What?
But
Yes.
There's 10 in those 10.
Yes.
And there's 10 in those 10. So it's like
Okay? So in Malchut, there's going to be 10, all the way going down from Keter, all the way down to Malchut. This is called Malchut. So in other words, in this 10, you'll have a sub-10. So therefore, in the sub-10, you'll have a Malchut of a Malchut. The small Malchut of the bigger Malchut. A Malchut of a Malchut. So that's basically, let's call this a neighborhood, and let's call this, a street. Okay? So let's say if you have a street, you'll have, exactly. No, you'll have a county. Let's say you'll have, like I live in Woolfield Lane, right? Or let's say I'll use this one. I'm in Topanga Canyon in Woodland Hills. Okay? So let's say Malchut is like Topanga Canyon Street, right? And I'm in Woodland Hills. And this is all California. Okay? So street address, street, district, area, county, and then state. Just like that. Okay?
It's a hierarchy.
It's just a street. It's just an address. 6423 Sheraton Lane. Okay? Whatever you want to call it, right? 99 and 3rd Street. Whatever you want to call it, or whatever. I'm missing some street names in Brooklyn because I wanted to forget them as much as possible.
Are you saying that each one contains all of the other sefirot?
Yes.
Or are you saying that each
Yes.
one not only contains all the other sefirot, but has 10 more divisions of its own?
Actually, both.
Each one contains all 10. In other words, all of these is in here. He brings the analogy here. So here's the analogy, he says. This made me liken to a photograph taken with a hologram. If anybody remembers what those are.
Yes.
Any detail, such as the hand in the lower left corner, for example, may be blown up to reveal all the basic information that is contained in the whole photograph. Right? All the basic information of the whole is contained in the detail, and the detail contains all the basic information found in the whole, because the holograms are made up of dots, right? They're laser dots. It's made for lasers. And so when they take one little cell of those and you blow it up, you see a picture of the whole thing. The whole thing's a horse, funky, three-dimensional, colorful. And then when you take one little cell, you'll see a picture of the whole horse. The same thing by here. In each one of these is a picture of the whole. It is an interconnectedness. Yes.
When you go on your phone,
There is. It just keeps on going.
It does keep on going, but we have to stay kind of focused because you can get lost in this.
Yeah.
So we're going to do so far we're just going to go according to the words he's saying. 10 divisible by 10. Yes.
Because you
what
can't
it's
look
like
at the
kind of is when you take your cell phone, you're looking at a GPS, you're looking at a map or something.
I mean,
And
there's
it goes into
fractals.
greater
It's
detail and greater detail. But it's all there.
Right. Okay.
When you're working on your seat road during the open, and they're
Wow, we're past
That's
time.
right.
So, but you're taking one and combining with another one.
You have it, the book of Omer does that. It shows you.
Oh, yes, the
there's
Sphero.
49
Oh,
days,
yeah.
and it has-
Right.
you only work on
Only the
seven.
lower 7. No, because that's what we're responsible for, because those are the midot, character traits.
So when we do the Omer, we're working on them.
Yeah. Okay. Let's stop now. Okay. And we'll get into the part Sufim, God willing, next week. Sorry about that. I went over.